165 millimeters of rear travel, 170 up front. Numbers that make people wince when thinking about climbing. But on the Spartan 29, we were surprised the bike toted about so much extra squish. It made short work of Mammoth Mountain's bony and burly lines. It felt effortless. Did DeVinci send us a Troy 29 trail bike by mistake?
It just seemed like kind of a normal bike to me.
Definitely approachable. Wasn't anything weird going on. You didn't have to adjust to riding it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It has 165 millimeters of travel out back, 170 up front.
But it almost does ride like a trail bike in a good way, because it's a normal feeling ride, yet you have all this travel you can work with, but you're not sloshing it all around.
Yeah. I think it took all of us to go back and re-ride the bike in order to try to define it. Because some bikes you ride it the first time, you're like, this is what you're good at.
Mm-hmm. And we really found that it's not just one bike. It's very much an all-around bike. And I think that's why we went back to describing it as a trail bike, because it did many things well. But it had tons of suspension if you needed it, and it does, and it's capable. So it was a little hard for us to say this is meant for this.
And I think part of it's thanks to the Geo. It's got some of the shortest chainstays in the bunch. Thanks a lot to Super Boost. And it just like, it's responsive. Like, it feels almost like it could be your only bike. I mean, if you have terrain that demands it, but you want something to kind of do everything, it I think can do it.
Another way to describe the Spartan 29, aside from trail bike-like or well-versed, is maneuverable. If you want to change lines midway down a descent, you can hoist your way there easily. The rampy suspension, short stays, lightweight, and modest wheelbase made it easy and fun to throw about.
It kind of has this same DeVinci DNA of their progressivity. So like every one of their bikes has this, somewhere in it, it has a distinct ramp up. And this one seems to be kind of near the end. So the first bit of that 165 millimeters of travel, like it's really capable and really floaty. But but never like in a way that you feel lost in it.
I felt like I could put the bike where I needed it all the time. It just felt pretty comfortable. You can like dip your heels in and bounce like over all across the trail how you need to. You know, every mountain bike trail has these whoop kind of things that you kind of end up doubling or putting together. And this bike required less effort to preload and get the pop you needed to float over things and kind of like do those movements to keep speed, you know.
Which is interesting because it's easy to pop off stuff, but it felt much smoother to me than the Nuke Proof in our test, which also had that sort of rampy, poppy rear.
Yeah, it kind of gives you like a little bit of that attitude of the pivot where it's deep and plush, but it also doesn't feel vague. You can feel the trail, which I really like, you know. And so if you're looking for the most badass downhill machine, this wouldn't be it, but it's well-versed.
Yeah.
And in terms of well-versed, what do you think of the part spec on this? This is DeVinci's highest end Spartan 29, retails for $9,000.
I mean, that's a lot of money. Like it's more than a S-Works, it's more than a Trek 99 by a lot, a couple $1,000s.
Do you think it's worth it?
I mean, it's decked to the gills, but I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow. I don't look at DeVinci as being like one of those boutique brands, kind of like Yeti, even though the pricing is boutique.
You definitely get super nice parts here. We didn't have too many nitpicks. We would have loved to have seen some code breaks rather than the guide RSCs that come on it.
Mm-hmm.
And a 170 dropper instead of a 150.
That'd be great, yeah.
Which is the broken record of our test.
Yeah.
I'll take a 170.
We're all
Thank you.
tall.
Mm-hmm.
We are all tall, but you know.
I mean, really, the model below this one goes for $5,200, and it really gives you so much of the same experience. You don't get the carbon for wheels, you don't get the as adjustable of a fork. It's GX, but you get most of all the other things that we're praising about it. So really, saving well over $3,000.
And it's what, a pound and a little bit penalty? 1.3 pounds maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
Yeah. And what about climbing? Like I actually didn't find the need to lock it out a whole lot. Like on short climbs, you know, that I wasn't really like settling into, I just didn't bother at all. I mean, on like anything maybe longer than 5 minutes or so, like I would kind of make the effort and reach down and be like, maybe I'll firm it up a bit. But man, I feel like it's a pretty efficient kind of pedaling bike.
I felt the same way on our extended single track climb that wasn't overly steep, but was still maneuvering a fair amount. I just left it open and it felt natural. I would look down and see that, yes, I was bobbing a little bit, but my pedaling efforts felt like they were moving me forward. I didn't feel like I was being robbed of any efficiency.
Well, part of that, this thing has a 76-degree seat angle, so it's plenty modern in that way. And on those, the kind of quick climbs you'll see on a downhill or traversey type of climbs, yeah, I was totally fine leaving the shock wide open. Then on the steep climbs, something with this much travel, nothing is gonna make it up there without any help. So I liked the lever on the Super Deluxe. The firm mode was really nice and firm. I sat nice and high in the travel. It didn't sink into all that travel. So it was if you have steep climbs to deal with, it's prepared for that too.
Yeah, and to clarify too, I think that lockout is best for steep and smoother.
You're right.
Because you lose that traction that the suspension activity does give you. But yeah, like if you need that efficiency, it is there.
We all agree the Spartan 29 is a remarkable climber, and it still has a smooth, conforming ride while combining DeVinci's trademark poppy midstroke. Is the $9,000 XO1 option the one for us? Maybe not, but the $5,200 version at only 1.3 pounds more is appealing for such a capable, well-rounded, and approachable bike. Check out the full review and the other long travel 29ers at bikemag.com.